Hang on, something's wrong here.
Yeah, I think we're streaming, but
Yep.
it hasn't quite pulled up on Facebook yet, so we'll give it a second.
We'll give it a sec, and then, yep, I just got notified.
Awesome.
And I'll just pull it up here, so I'm good to go.
Cool.
I can check out comments and whatnot. And then we can...
I'll switch to my trusty old headset so we all match today.
Deal.
All right.
And don't forget to record, and
right.
then we'll, Dan can intro us in.
Here we go. Perfect.
And good, we are recording.
Okay. Well, everybody, welcome to Wellness Week, July 2021 edition. And we are excited to be here with you all today and for this week. If you guys are new to this is something we try to do every single month. Have a week of different content and just us getting on live together on discussion and teaching through some practical tools, as well as some educational bits to help reinforce, the why behind those tools to our health and well-being. So it's Wellness Week. So welcome. So glad you guys are here. If you're watching this live or if you watch this later on, we always embed these videos just to sit in the discussion of this group so that you guys can check out anytime. Today so I'm Dan Tribally, I'm health coach up at Functional Medicine. Natalie Smith, another one of our health coaches. And we have Dr. Jason Bradley joining us today as well, of course. And we're going to kick off this week with talking about and actually doing a live demonstration from Natalie herself on a couple of fundamental tools for meditation mindfulness. And for many of you guys, you might be very familiar with what it means or what it could look like to practice meditation or be more mindful. And for some of us, especially if you're like me a few years ago, when I was first starting health coaching, it could be a bit more of a nebulous topic. It's one of those things that we kind of have an idea of, but we might not have like a clear definition of this is what meditation looks like or could look like. And there are so many ways we can meditate, right? There are so many different ideologies, philosophies, just even practical things we can do. And I know for some of us, it can be a bit overwhelming. Like there's too many options, option overload. And so we just want to kind of bring back into today, talking about and even practicing a couple of them. We're going to practice one of them today, which Natalie lead us through, but basically looking at things such as a body scan and breathing exercises. Those are some classic, fundamental, they use the word beginner, but a lot of the beginner stuff is like the gold, that's the stuff that everybody, just because beginner really just means it's fundamental and everybody, beginner or master, implements and relies on. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. And we'll just kind of, Natalie, I guess before you do demonstration here, and we can all kind of do this together, an example here. I thought we could kind of walk through just a few of the benefits, like why bother in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And part of me, I know we have a few things we'll share with everybody here today, and part of it seems like you could have like a whole class on the benefits of meditation mindfulness, so won't do it justice, but we'll throw out a few here.
I actually want to say, in fact, we do have whole classes on that with our private patients. So.
That's true. And there's whole books on it. Oh, totally. Right. So, but I think when we look at meditation mindfulness, there are a lot of times we think these are mental exercises, and they are. They can be for helping our mental health, but it actually, again, the body and mind are one. And so it's going to help both mental and physical. So just a few, and Natalie and Dr. Bradley, you guys want to throw in a few more here. Awesome. But just a few things. Oh,
you're good. No, you go. Oh, okay. I was just, I'll go. Okay. So basically, I just want to do a little like intro or kind of preface to the exercise that we're going to do in a minute. Basically,
that sounds great.
Yeah, we do this. So I'm in a functional medicine health coaching course, and I've got just about a month and a half left. But every single time we meet, right at the beginning, we do what's called a gathering exercise. So basically, it's exactly like Dan said. They're all a little bit different, but a lot of them incorporate breathing or a body scan, which we'll dig into. And really, one of the main purposes is just to work on being present in this moment. So I know, a lot of us have a lot going on, like a lot on our plate, but to take just 2 to 5 minutes to breathe and reconnect with our bodies. How are we feeling? We can be mindful of kind of the thoughts that are coming in and out. And really, it's just a way, again, to encourage, being in the present moment and really, yeah, kind of that mind body connection, just starting to, um, I don't know, like strengthen that connection. But that's one of my favorite things about like mindfulness and meditation is there really is a physical and a mental kind of component to it, which is fun. So yeah, I just wanted to give that little intro because that's what kind of inspired me to want to do this today, and so I hope you guys will enjoy it. So yes.
Great. And Natalie, just to clarify, I should know this, the gathering exercise, are we doing 2 exercises today, or the gathering exercise is the one we're doing?
I think just the gathering
Yeah.
exercise, yeah, but I will, within that exercise, I'm gonna, it's gonna incorporate definitely breathing and even like a mini body scan. Again, it's only gonna be about 2 to 5 minutes. It kind of depends how slow or fast I kind of walk through things, but you can definitely, like, there's much longer ones that we can do, but just to keep it kind of short for today, yeah, but I will incorporate kind of those other pieces within it as well.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And I think short is great because for a lot of people, we desperately, and as a culture, we desperately need more stress management, like better stress management and just less stress overall, even like less stress to have to manage in the first place. So it's kind of 2 sides of the coin. And so a lot of times it's like many of us are stretched thin with time. Time is such a precious commodity. And so we think, I want to manage my stress. All right, let's add in X amount of minutes. It's like, oh no, like more time that I don't have. So 2 to 5 minutes is great. I think that would be very practical for anybody, listening on this today. Well, cool. So a few of the physical benefits of meditation mindfulness, whether it's, body scan, like you're going to walk us through, Natalie, or breathing, it's going to improve, it can help improve our sleep. So whether we practice this throughout the day, or even if it's something you do right before bed, it's going to help, especially, quiet our minds, what is kind of pushing our buttons, keeping our body kind of in a little more tense state of being. And so we're going to sleep better. And gosh, when we sleep better, we're going to improve our inflammation because the body can repair, detoxify, grow, learn, just do so many essential things for healing and restoration. And so if you have general inflammation, pain, aches, the better sleep we get, the better that's going to be for sure. How can we get better sleep? Meditation mindfulness can be such a super valuable tool there. The other thing as well, this is something, Natalie, when you and I are kind of thinking through some of these things, and Dr. Bradley, I'm sure you can relate to this as well, is I know for myself when doing such as like a body scan exercise, things of that nature, I just become much more aware of my body. And it sounds weird that we might not be aware of our physical bodies, but sometimes we aren't aware that we're chronically tense and carrying tension in certain parts. It's like, oh, my back feels terrible. It's like, yeah, you're like tightening your shoulders all day long and not even realizing it. Or, I've got a bit of a headache and, you're, again, like for me, my neck, shoulders are tight, or I've been furrowing my brow for hours focused on something and I don't even realize it. Like, it's amazing what our bodies can physically be doing and our muscles are even doing, but our brain is just disconnected from it. So just that awareness can make such a difference with knowing, oh gosh, now that I'm aware that's happening, like I can do something about it. I know we talk about that a lot, like hydration. Gee, now that I'm aware of what hydration does or how dehydrated I am, I can actually do something about it. It's the same kind of thing. Before we kind of just mention a few of the mental benefits, I was curious if there's anything on the top of your guys' minds you're like, oh my gosh, we got to say this one too, for physical benefits.
I would just say, it kind of goes along with mental too, but just like the act of, it's a relaxation technique, in and of itself as well. And yeah, I was getting ahead of myself. I was going to say one of the mental ones, but Dr. B, do you have any thoughts on the physical ones before I jump ahead of myself?
I think that there's, a number of things to talk about there. And first of all, I just also wanted to say that if anybody has any questions or comments, whether you're catching this in the live, stream, or if you're catching this on a replay, just type in the comments and we'll be sure to answer your questions. we're always here to provide you guys with, knowledge and information and resources so that you can absolutely, take control of your health. But I think Dan hit on some good ones. I'm reminded, when I think Dan, you said, 2 to 5 minutes goes a long way. I was speaking at Genentech a number of years ago to 300 food scientists, and I just had a show of hands when I was talking about stress, right? And I just had a show of hands, how many people in the room just take 1 minute a day to kind of, reground, recenter, do some deep breathing, whatever it is that you want to call mindfulness or meditation. And I only had one person raise their hand out of 300 people. I know it was amazing.
1 minute.
I know, it's crazy, right?
1 minute.
That 1 minute, which led me to want to write a book, but then I thought it would be a really short book called The 1 Minute Yogi. And it was basically just take a minute here and there throughout the day, But yeah, one of the things that's pretty cool, especially going back to that mind-body connection, when we take that time consistently, and again, I always want to emphasize that meditation is mindfulness, deep breathing, whatever it is that we're going to be doing. It's kind of like going to the gym where you're going to get some benefit immediately. I want to really stress that, but you're going to see the cumulative effects, kind of like when you go to the gym every day for 3 months. It's different than if you go to the gym one time. So we always want to be doing this in a cumulative effect, kind of with a long-term planning. Most of the studies that have been done on meditation and mindfulness are done over 13-week studies. Just kind of looking at that, just to let you know, to set a timeline on it, just to say, hey, I'm going to take the next 13 weeks and every day I'm going to just do some deep breathing, if nothing else, for 2 to 5 minutes a day, like Natalie was saying. But one of the cool things is that we see a decrease in blood pressure, talking about the physical benefits. Dan mentioned, we see a decrease in body tension. And with that decrease in body tension, we of course see lessening pain, better circulation. Certainly we see, as Dan mentioned again, better sleep. I think that there's a lot there with the physical body. There's a ton with mental health, and there's a ton with cognitive health that's been looked at. But one of the other things that I'm not sure if this is a mind thing or a body thing, but I'll just kind of put it out there because I think anybody that's struggled with it understands what I'm talking about. But a really good study was done looking again at 3 months of daily meditation mindfulness, saw that people that had addictions, whether that be to alcohol or tobacco or illicit drugs or prescription medications, saw a decrease in their physical and mental addictions to those substances. So there's just I know it's interesting stuff. So I just want to put those out there for physical stuff, but again, a ton to share with mental health and cognitive health.
That's awesome. Thanks for mentioning that. I didn't realize that when it came to even like just, acute addictions of that nature.
Yeah.
So Natalie, you've been itching to jump to some of the mental health benefits. You want to kick us off?
Yeah. So one thing, I know I've referred to it as like a gathering exercise, but it's honestly like a grounding exercise too, just grounding, within yourself, within the present moment. But the one thing that I've noticed, as we practice this before every class, is just focus. Like I am a lot more present. I feel, just more, again, aware, not even of like my physical body, but like within the environment that I'm in, and I'm able to, I don't know, I just feel more, again, I think focus is kind of the big word there, which is interesting because like coming into it, I'm often just a little bit nervous because not crazy nervous, but after doing that exercise, like I've had the time to intentionally breathe and slow things down and kind of pinpoint maybe that anxiety that's happening, and it really helps me to just be more productive during my class, which is really interesting because it's literally 2 minutes and it makes a huge difference. So that was my big point that I wanted to share.
Anxiety, I think, is interesting because when we talk about the mental health benefits, anxiety, depending on how a person struggles through it, expresses itself both with mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Like for me, physically, if I have those times where I'm like, I feel anxious because I've struggled with chronic anxiety. All three of us in this room have struggled with chronic anxiety at one point or another, many points. And so I know what feeling anxious like feels like, and that crummy feeling that I just want to just flee from. And so even when I don't realize like what's driving it, but I just feel it, I just feel off. That, again, like breathing exercises where you're directly engaging a way of breathing that tells your body, hey, because I'm breathing deeply, that means we must not be stressed as much. Because if we were stressed, appropriately stressed, then we should be doing shallow breathing, which is usually what I'm stuck doing, and then feeling anxious. So there's that side of it. But then mentally, again, I think that's where mindfulness ties in well. Like, why am I anxious? What is going on? And if I just keep going through my day, well, I'm anxious, but I got stuff to get done, clickety clack on the keyboard and keep working and stuff like that, then I'm just going to keep perpetuating it. Versus if I take a moment to even talk, like sometimes I talk out loud to myself, like, I am anxious because, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. No, that's not it. Or whatever. And then I can sort through it. And then my brain, my conscious brain and my like survival subconscious brain can like have a chat with each other and get more on the same page. And I'm like, oh, okay, this thing that feels like a big issue to me is actually a lot smaller, or it's something different, and I can move forward from there. So I know for me, that's where, like, especially with anxiety, that's where it really ties into my mental health and well-being, as well as a physical.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, I mean, I think that you hit on something really important there, Dan, because I'm going to make up a statistic here that I'm going to say that 98% of all statistics are made up on the fly, right? So at any rate, I don't know what the percentage is, but I've read 95, 99%. It's an overwhelming amount of much more the majority than the minority. But our subconscious drives us a lot more than our consciousness, right? I mean, and we don't even realize what's going on. I mean, our subconscious brain is telling us to breathe and telling our heart to beat and telling us our muscles to be tense and or digest our food or whatever it happens to be. I mean, our body just kind of works in the background, right? Which is cool. And thank God we don't have to think about that stuff all the time, because I mean, we'd be really overwhelmed. But I think that one of the things when we take these few minutes a day, one of the cool things that we can do, and I know that we teach our clients to do this, is to do that kind of head to toe body scan. And I know, Natalie, you're going to talk about that a little bit too, but it's interesting when you just take that minute to that head to toe body scan and then realize, what, I mean, if anything, I don't want to say something has to feel off, but what feels off, right? And I know for me, if I'm anxious and I'm paying attention, I might not know what I'm anxious about, but at the same time, if I really pay attention to my body, I start to have heart palpitations sometimes, or I don't want to say a tightness in my chest because that sounds like heart attack stuff, but there's something going on in that, I'm going to call it the solar plexus region of my body, kind of where my chest and my diaphragm and my abdomen are all coming together, and it gets really tense there. And I am now, because I've practiced this so much, very, very aware and conscious of that feeling, even before I may even know what am I stressed about? Like, what triggered me? What subconsciously kicked in there? And what's cool is, because I practice this so much, and I've had to, because as you mentioned, myself, like so many people, you guys, and I mean, just probably everybody listening to this right now, I have suffered from crippling and debilitating anxiety where it's just really stopped me in my tracks. And I've, in the past, many years ago, lost many days at a time due to anxiety attacks. And I mean, they're horrible. They're just horrible. So now when I start to realize that, because I don't feel that way on the norm, and it kind of pops up, I can take a step back and say, oh, wow, there's that feeling. I wonder what's stressing me out right now, and I can kind of go back through the little bit of time and have a little bit more understanding. And again, as you practice it while you're not, whether or not you're feeling that way, but practice it throughout the days, day in, ongoing, you get more and more adept at that ability of being in touch with that signaling, that physical signaling from your body. And I think that's one of the coolest outcomes for me by practicing daily breathing, daily mindfulness, daily meditations, gratitudes, whatever it happens to be that works for you. Because like you said, there's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah, kind of like an early warning system in some ways. When it's there, but in its infancy, and you can tackle it ahead of time. Yeah, that's great.
And I think, just overall, like I agree. That's one of my favorite things. And I think one of the coolest things that that happens to, the people going through our program, even if they don't realize it. Just getting so in tune with like their body and being able to listen to their body, and not only when it comes to stress, of course, like food and even with movement and things like that, but I think that's one of my favorite things, is just the skill that is being practiced, during the program of listening to your body and acknowledging what your body is telling you, which sounds kind of goofy, but it's true.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound really silly though, because if you really think about it,
Yeah.
we're taught, I mean, from very young age, right? I'm talking from early childhood, probably before we could even use words. We are taught, for the most part, not everybody, but in America, we're taught that symptoms are bad and that we should take medications to mask the symptoms. And we're really ingrained to not listen to our body, to numb the senses, to numb that feeling, to disconnect, especially when it comes to things like pain, anxiety, depression. And, I think that, this sounds really
Yeah.
goofy. This is what sounds goofy, but I would say, what we need to be teaching is leaning into it and understanding it and teaching tools and resources and techniques that we can employ anywhere, and that's what's also cool about meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, etc. You could be sitting on the subway and be practicing it and no one is even the wiser, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of my favorite things about it too. That's awesome. Well, Natalie, I would love to get to benefit from you walking us through some meditation mindfulness today. You want to lead us on?
I would love to. I'm making a little comment on our live just in case someone joins while we all have our eyes closed, so they are like somewhat aware of what's going on. So yeah, so let's do it. Let's start with a deep breath and make yourself comfortable. Get yourself in a comfortable seated position. You can rest your hands in your lap or, wherever they're comfortable for you. Rest your feet on the ground. Give yourself a strong foundation as you feel the ground. And if it's comfortable for you, go ahead and close your eyes if you haven't already. We're going to start with a couple intentional deep breaths. So try to breathe in through your nose. And if it's comfortable, you can hold it at the top of your breath for a few seconds and then slowly exhale. We're going to do this a few times. So we're recentering with our breath. Whatever pace is comfortable for you. If you want to go slower or return to your normal breathing, whatever is most comfortable for you. And as we take another deep breath, just acknowledge how your breath feels. Acknowledge the pace as you return to your normal breathing. Start to notice, if there's any thoughts coming in, if you're noticing any areas of tension or pain, just acknowledge them. We are in this moment without judgment. We are just simply acknowledging things as they come. So if you do have thoughts come in during this practice, it's totally normal. You can just return to your breathing, return your focus to the sound of my voice. Imagine your thoughts are like clouds floating through the sky. You may look at them, acknowledge them, but just let them pass. With your next deep breath, bring your attention to your toes. We're entering our body scan. And imagine a warm wave, a warm golden wave entering just as the waves come in and out in the shore. Imagine the wave coming farther up your feet. Just notice and acknowledge how that area feels. And when you're ready, we'll slowly move our awareness up into the ankles, continuing with our deep breathing. Again, just noticing any areas of tension, intentional breathing into those areas. And the wave continues up our legs into our calves, our shins. The wave comes out and comes back in, goes into our knees. Continue your deep breathing. The wave is now moving up into the thighs. Just linger here. How does it feel? Again, if any thoughts are coming up, it is totally normal. Just return to your breathing, return your focus into the warmth, the warm wave that's within our thighs. And as it moves up into our hips, again, continue with your breathing and just notice how you're feeling. And take a moment to just linger in this presence. With your next exhale, feel the wave coming up into the abdomen, up into the chest area, and work on just intentionally breathing. If you notice any tension in your lower back or your shoulders, just take a moment to acknowledge that feeling. Again, ideally with no judgment. We're not here to judge our bodies and our feelings and our thoughts. We're just here to be aware of them. And the wave now moves into our arms, our shoulders, the bicep, tricep area. Feel it move into the elbows, down to the wrists. Feel the warmth in each fingertip. It may feel tingly, maybe a little warm, whatever it feels for you. Just acknowledge how that feels. With our next deep breath, we're moving the wave into our neck area, into our chin. Make sure you relax your chin. If you are clenching your jaw, relax that. If your face is tight, relax your eyebrows, your forehead. That's often an area of tension that we may not notice throughout the day. So just intentionally release those areas as you notice them. The warmth is now in the top of our head. And now we can feel the warmth throughout our whole bodies, from the tips of our toes to the tops of our heads. Just feel the warmth. Take a few deep breaths and thank yourself for being present in this moment with me today. With your next deep breath, you can open your eyes as you're comfortable, and we will return to our meeting. Woo, that
I always
just,
like it.
I'm about to pass out. That was good.
I always like it when you do that. That's just fantastic. And it's
Ah,
so easy. It's just one of those things that you can, start your day with, end your day with, midday, and it takes just a few minutes, and it's like it's just so
ooh.
great.
Yeah, maybe a little too relaxed. That was good. How do you guys, yeah, Dan, how do you feel after that? It was about 5 minutes and ended up being about 5.
Yeah, it pretty relaxed, I think, throughout, and still I'm kind of figuring out like either my posture or my breathing. I think my breathing still needs a little time to transition to really feeling that fullness. I liken it to the kind of feeling we get when we yawn, how the body can like get an even deeper breath than you can normally, like, even when you're trying to think about it, you can't seem to achieve. I notice like if I get into it long enough, then I can kind of get into more of that space. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but the rest of me feels really relaxed. And I hadn't thought about how is my breathing and even just my posture, which that's really important when I'm, sitting at my desk, here at my computer. And so definitely more relaxed, and just taking a moment for me to just realize like, okay, the rest of the day is a normal day and we're going to keep going on. As you guys know, I had a couple of things pop up my schedule and attending to family things this morning, and everything's good, but it definitely rocked the boat a bit. So I really appreciated this today.
Yay. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And really, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Really, I've done a handful of those in the past, and of course I've listened to a lot of them. And really even if you're just doing a couple minutes of deep breathing, and as we continue this call, we'll chat. Actually, maybe now's a good time to chat about just kind of the different options for breathing techniques, because as weird as it sounds, there's potentially a better way for us to breathe. A lot of times, we go through our day and we may notice that our breathing is more shallow, and if we can just take a moment to intentionally, deepen that breath, that certain deep breathing exercises can help stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system, aka our relaxation response, which makes sense why we're all kind of we're like zenned out right now, because we just spent the last 5 minutes just being with our breath. And yeah, so who wants to go first?
Yeah. I can start us off with in terms of breathing techniques. So what I like kind of earlier when we were talking about there's so many options for meditation and mindfulness. What I like about that though is you can kind of pick your flavor. What's your favorite flavor to approach it? And so I think if any of you guys kind of feel bogged down with the variety of breathing exercises out there, I'm sure there's probably advantages and disadvantages of different styles, but the most important thing is just pick something and something that seems to work with you better. And if you're not sure what that is, just try some and land on a favorite. That's the more important thing, is just to do something and to breathe. Don't get caught up too much on, is it 4 counts in, 4 counts out? Is it 4, 7, 8? Is it, all these different things. They're all going to achieve the same goal. The one that I familiar with more just because it's the very first thing I ever was taught is the 4-7-8 breathing exercise by Dr. Andrew Weil. Weil is spelled W-E-I-L. So he's got a video demonstration. If you just type in Dr. Weil or just 4-7-8 breathing, it's going to pop right up. But it's just as it sounds: 4 counts, nice full deep breath in. You hold your breath for 7 counts, and moderately forceful exhalation for 8 counts. And with that one, because of that holding your breath, it's quite a bit of time until your next breath in. So the first couple can feel pretty challenging because you're running out of air. Part of it too is just figuring out what's the right pacing, not doing too long of a count. But it'll be challenging at first, but then after a few breaths in, it's easier because you're forcing your body to slow down its heart rate so we can get fuller breaths in and not burn up the oxygen so fast. So that's a little bit of, I think, some of the philosophy behind it. That's just one that I've done and told other people in the past. What about you guys? Dr. Bradley, is there any kind of you gravitate toward?
There's a couple that I like to use, and both of these were taught to me by Shane Saunders, who I just want to point out, he has a free ebook at breatheme.com, breatheme.com. Shane's a good friend of mine. He's over in Aussie land, and like I said, has a free ebook download, and he travels all over the world teaching Fortune 500 executives how to breathe, right? And how to release tension, which I think is a fascinating job, right? I mean, it's a fascinating
cool
job. And he also has trained, Navy SEALs in combat situations, and I like combat breathing, and it's one of those things that when we're under an obvious high stress situation, it's one of those things that you can do where it's basically in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, out for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and you're just doing this kind of a square pattern, so to speak. Where it's 4 on each side, right? In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. I like that. I really think, not to one up that, but I do think that, Dan, you hit on something. When our exhale is a little bit longer than our inhale, so if we breathe in for 4 seconds or 6 seconds or whatever it is, our exhale should be just a little bit longer. The science is out there showing us that we're actually engaging that parasympathetic nervous system and disengaging that fight or flight response, bringing us back into the moment, bringing us back into a state of calmness. So if I was going to take that combat breathing and do that square breathing, of 4s, I would recommend that maybe that exhale is more like a 5 or a 6, or you can change the numbers around, right? Whatever feels normal for you. And I don't think that's a square anymore. I think it's like some kind of quadrilateral, or whatever that is, but nonetheless, I think that that's another technique, is square breathing, combat breathing, but maybe elongate that exhale so it's a little bit longer than the inhale, and really activate that parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
Nice.
And one thing that kind of fits into really any other breathing exercise is deep belly breathing, also known as, hopefully I don't butcher this, diaphragmatic breathing. Did I say that right? That sounds right. Nice. So basically we're activating the diaphragm. So a lot of people, I'll sit up a little bit. A lot of people when they do it will put a hand on their chest and maybe one on their stomach so they can feel, you can, really feel your diaphragm expanding and relaxing as you're breathing. And that is a great way to also stimulate that relaxation response too. Yeah, there's a lot of resources, and that'll be one of our resources today too. Just how-tos, a couple links on definitely the 4-7-8 breathing. I think we have one for box breathing too, and the deep belly breathing. So yeah, check those out. And also there's so many resources online too. If you Dr. Google is a beautiful thing. Really just, Googling any of those, there's so many different options that you can listen to if you're not comfortable doing it on your own.
What's great is for those resources, we didn't plan on what we were going to share. At least I didn't, so I think it's pretty cool
No,
that we have those on there. Great minds think alike,
Right?
It's fantastic.
No, it's great. But I think the cool thing too is, there's, again, especially with the deep belly breathing, like there is a little bit more of technique to it. And it can at first be a little bit uncomfortable because we're not as used to kind of breathing into the stomach, if you will. So yeah, it takes a little bit of practice, but it does get more comfortable kind of the more that you practice it too.
Yeah. One tip I'll mention on that note, Natalie, because you're right. It's, we're used to breathing a certain way. It feels unnatural to do what ought to be natural. My wife explained to me this back when she was, I think, teaching or like a para educator in the music elementary music school music classroom setting. One of her teachers or coworkers she worked with, I forget which, would have the students, have the kids lay at certain points lay down on the ground, and that would help teach them breathing, because it's really difficult to not deep or like belly breathe when you're in that position. You'd have to really try to do that like shallow chest and shoulders kind of breath when you're lying down. Probably why it feels nice to sleep, because you're lying down. So, if that's something where you need a lot of times in meditations, they say, sit or do some, but some will say just pick a position, and that could be something you can train in, of just lying down and then just feeling that as well.
Yeah.
And I think too, just speaking of belly breathing, I don't think that we said this out loud, but if you've ever watched a baby breathe, every baby just naturally does belly breathing, right? I mean, that's the natural human way to breathe. And, I don't know how we unlearn that, I mean, I'm fascinated with how did we stop doing that? We do this like chest breathing as we get older, but really it's belly breathing. That's the natural way to be breathing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And like I said, we'll have a resource on that too, so you guys can just have some more info on that. And like I said, just get some more instructions. And I think there's even a video on the link that I found that you can just follow along with too. So yay.
Great. Well, before we wrap up today, I just want to say this, Natalie. I thought you did a great job, and I know it might sound like conflict of interest. I'm your coworker, It's like, you did such a great job. But
I'll still take it.
Through that experience, it's my first time ever hearing you, lead through a guided meditation. But if any of you guys watch this live or after the fact, like what Natalie did, of being able to listen to somebody guide you through this. There are apps out there such as, just these are two that we're familiar with. And there's many more out there besides Headspace. Simple Habit is another one, but they do a similar kind of thing, and they have 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute. And actually a lot of what you did totally remind me exactly of the experience of, masters in meditation who do these, pre-meditation recordings, implementing the same kind of pacing. So just want to say great job. But also, if you guys like that, that is really similar, if not the same kind of thing you're going to experience from any other, a lot of other professionals out there on these different guided meditation apps.
It's true. And,
You're making me blush.
You did a great job, and it's so true. And I just wanted to also mention the Calm app is another,
That's
one
right.
that's out there.
Yep.
And then, of course, maybe we'll chat about this later in the week. I haven't seen the itinerary, but maybe we'll chat about the Muse app as well, and the Muse device for meditation. Muse is a biofeedback device that you wear while you're meditating, and it gives you instant neurofeedback on your brainwave activity if you're in a calm state or an agitated state, and gives you some sound cues. But nonetheless, they have really good guided meditations as well. And I love those guys, as you guys know. So
perfect.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I just want to share too, also, free resources too. I mean, YouTube has so many. You're gonna have to, search through a lot more videos, but still, they have so much available on there. And another one of our resources, I wrote a blog last month, just a basic beginner's guide to a body scan meditation. So just some things to consider and, kind of steps to walk through it on your own. So as a reminder too, if this is your first wellness week, we always have a challenge / question of the day. And all you have to do, I'll post the question of the day right after we finish this call. And all you have to do is comment under that post, answer my question, and we will make sure that you get the guide for today that has all the resources and, of course, this recording linked as well.
Perfect.
That's
and
awesome.
Thanks for the reminder of the challenge and question of the day. So I'll just say it out loud here, and then, like you said, you'll post it so you guys can see it on the discussion thread. But our challenge for you guys listening to this is participate in 5 minutes a day for 7 days. You can do as much as you like, but just for 7 days, some kind of grounding exercise, could be breathing, or even just the recording Natalie did for us today, in this video. And our question of the day will be, what is one mindfulness or meditation technique that you have heard about, but not tried yet? So just kind of thinking through, oh yeah, there's that thing, and I meant to try it, but maybe I didn't. Then the other question is, what is one practice that you love to do, and how does that make you feel? So we just love to hear from everybody. Anybody can post to this, whether this is new to you. What is something that appeals to you, like to try? Or if you are not new to this, we'd love to have you share the wealth in this community and share what you like to do and spread that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what we have for you guys today.
Awesome.
We'll
hey, Nat, I have a quick question.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, before we sign off, are you going to have a link to the blog on the resources?
Okay. Yes. Yep.
Perfect. I was going to put that in the comments, but I'll just leave it in the resources. That's great.
Okay. Yeah. Either way works. Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for Natalie and Dr. Bradley. Thanks for your time. For everybody else, I hope this was, if there's even just one takeaway you get from this, awesome, because every little thing that we can implement in our lives on a day-to-day, week-by-week basis makes a big impact in the long term. I hope this encourages you in some way. And yeah, we're going to be here 1 o'clock again, either all three of us or some combination of the three of us every day this week, Monday through Friday.
1 p.m. Central.
Yes, Central. Yep. Thank you. So we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.